Good day, grade 10 learners. Welcome to our mathematics lesson. I am Skulile Ngube, and this lesson is proudly brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education. Right, we're continuing with our lessons. Grade 10s, we're doing algebraic expressions, and we're continuing with factorization. Today, we're going to continue with the factorization of quadratic trinomials, and we're going to talk about the difference of two squares. Let's be ready for our lesson, grade 10s. Remember the expectations, what I expect from you. Please make sure that you have your book with you, you have your pen, all the stationery that you need, and you are ready for the lesson. Let's communicate during the lesson. Remember our WhatsApp line 079 454 9535. Please, we need your input. Right. You have a question, please ask. You have input, maybe you want me to slow down, you want me to re-explain something, feel free to do that. Just give us the name of your school and your input, or the name of the school and your question. We are ready to assist you. Okay, right, let's start our lesson, grade 10s. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to factorize algebraic expressions with the focus on the following concepts. Like I've said, we're going to look at the quadratic trinomials. Do you remember that in the previous lesson, we talked about the factorization of quadratic trinomials? Okay, so today we are still doing quadratic trinomials, but they are a bit different. I would show you the difference between the ones we did last week and the ones we are doing now. And then we're going to look at the difference of two squares. Okay, you know the square numbers? Yes, difference of two squares. We're going to look at that. We have done factorization in grade 8 and 9. It's not a new thing. We're going to use our knowledge about factorization in this lesson. We've done algebraic expressions in general in grade 8 and 9, isn't it? So what we learned in grade 8 and 9 is going to be used in this lesson. Okay. Right, we have our first activity, the baseline activity. I want us to try this. I'm going to give you 4 minutes. 2 minutes for question 1, 2 minutes for question 1, 2. Let's factorize fully these two expressions. 4 minutes, grade 10s. Right, welcome back, grade 10s. Let's mark our work. Right, the first one, what did we say last week? We said we're going to look for the factors of negative 10. Let's have our expression here. X squared minus 3x minus 10. Right, this negative 10 means that one factor is positive and the other factor is negative, isn't it? And then this negative here tells us that the bigger factor is the one which is negative. Let's look at the factors of 10 that can give us 3. So we have 1 and 10. 1 and 10 cannot give us a 3. 2 and 5. We can get a negative 3 from 2 and 5. So we're saying that one factor is negative and the other factor is positive, and the bigger factor must be negative. So it means this one is negative 5, this one is positive 2. Do you see that? Okay, these are the factors. What do we get if we say negative 5 times 2? We get negative 10. If we say negative 5 plus 2, we get negative 3. Do you see that? Okay, so if the coefficient of x squared is 1, we just create our two brackets. That's enough. And then we put our factors. That is enough. We're going to see that today we're going to deal with a situation where the coefficient of x squared is not 1. Let's say the coefficient of x squared is 2 and we don't have the highest common factor. What are we going to do? It's a bit different. Okay, right. So now these are the factors: x minus 5, x plus 2, like that. Okay, right. And then let's go to the second question. Right, how do we factorize these? We factorize by grouping in pairs. If you check, we're going to use this concept today. So we factorize the first pair and then factorize the second pair. You see that? And then first pair, what is common there? Factor out 2x, and then you say 4x squared divided by 2x, negative 2xy divided by 2x. You see that? Okay, and then 2 into 4 is 2, then x into x squared, you remain with x there. So it's 2x inside the bracket there. Then x into x is 1, 2 into 2 is 1. So we remain with 2x minus y in the bracket. You see that? And then the second pair, this pair, we can also factorize. Is negative 6x plus 3y. We can factor out negative 3. We can factor out negative 3. Right, if you say negative 3 is outside the bracket, if you say negative 6x divided by negative 3, you get positive 2x. And then positive 3y divided by negative 3, you get negative y. You see that? Okay, and then you get something like this. If you check here, we have two terms, which is this term and this term. And then these two terms have a common bracket. They have a common bracket, which is 2x minus y. So we factor it out. So it becomes 2x minus y. And then in the bracket, right, 2x, then times 2x minus y, divided by 2x minus y. Okay, this step you can skip it. I'm just doing it because I'm explaining. Okay, if we can do it faster, it's fine. Then negative 3, 2x minus y, divided by 2x minus y. And then 2x minus y divided by 2x minus y is 1. 2x minus y divided by 2x minus y is 1. You see that? And then we remain with 2x minus y, and then 2x minus 3. You see that? Okay, we say the common bracket will give us the first bracket, and then these two, they form the second bracket, like that. Okay, you know the shortcut of doing that? Yes, so our answer is that we have factorized fully. Okay, right. Now, sometimes the coefficient of x squared is not 1. The example that we did here in the baseline activity, the coefficient of x squared was 1. But sometimes the coefficient of x squared is not 1. And we don't have the highest common factor. Like this expression here. If you check, The coefficient of x squared is 3. And we don't have the highest common factor here. Between 3x squared and positive 4x and negative 4. We don't have the highest common factor here. So how do we factorize such expressions, such quadratic trinomials? I'm going to show you two methods. Okay, but in the activities, just choose one. Don't do both methods. I'll do both methods because I know some people are going to use the other method and some people are going to use the other method depending on how you are taught in the classroom. Okay, right. So what do we do? Let's do this one. Let's do the first method. Okay, so you look at the first term after writing your expression in standard form. Remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. Right. You look at the first term and your last term. And then you break them into their factors. Okay? You break them into their factors. I'll give you time to write notes. I want you to listen for now. And then after this, I'll give you time to write notes. Okay? Right. You break these two factors or this first term into its factors. You break the last term into its factors. Okay? Like this. 3x squared can be broken into 3x and x. You see that? So 3x times x is 3x squared. And then we look at the last term also. Can be broken into its factors. You can try an error method thing. Okay. And then let's break this into negative 2 and positive 2. Okay. Right. Because negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. And then what you do? You multiply like across. We say x times negative 2. What do you get? What is x times negative 2? It's negative 2x, isn't it? And then we multiply 3x with positive 2. What is it? 3x times positive 2, what is it? It is 6x. You see that? And then let's add these two. Negative 2x plus 6x, what do we get? Negative 6x, negative 2x plus 6x, what do we get? We get 4x, positive 4x. Do you see that this sum here is the same as the middle term there? That's what we want to find. So these combinations, they must give us the middle term. Okay? Right. I want to repeat what I said. Let me remove the ink. Right, let's do it again. We break the first term into its factors. We break the first term into its factors. So it becomes 3x and x. We look at the last term. Let's check which factors can we use here. We have negative 4. So I've broken this into negative 2 and positive 2. You see that? And then we multiply x times negative 2, like cross multiplying sort of thing. X times negative 2, we get negative 2x. And then 3x times positive 2, we get 6x. Now, when we add these two, we must get the middle term, which is positive 4. If you don't get the middle term, you have to try another combination. Okay, you have to try another combination. So now, negative 2x plus 6x is positive 4x. So this is what we want. Therefore, our factors are, we have our factors. This is the factor 3x minus 2. You take that as your factor. That's in the first bracket or even second bracket, still fine. Remember, multiplication is what? Commutative. And then the other bracket, you just take this one, x plus 2. You have factorized. This is the answer. Just that. Okay. Let me give you 1 minute to just write your short notes. 1 minute. Right, welcome back, great tens. I want us to do the second method, an alternative method, okay? An alternative method. We're going to use the same example. We're going to use the same example. So the other method you can do, what we do, you multiply your first term with your last term. Remember, after you have arranged or written your expression in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c. This is very, very important. You cannot solve a quadratic trinomial because after factorization, we're going to be solving the quadratic equations, quadratic trinomials. It has to be in standard form. That's the first step. And you're getting a mark for that. Writing your expression or equation in standard form is a mark. Ax squared plus bx plus c. Right, so you multiply your first term with your constant, which is -4. What do we get? We get -12x squared. This one is almost the same like what we did in the previous lesson. And then we look at the factors of -12x squared. Do you see the difference now? When the coefficient of x squared was 1, we just looked at -4, and then we said, what are the factors of -4? But now, if the coefficient of x squared is not 1. Let me emphasize this. If the coefficient of x squared is not 1, you cannot just have your two brackets like that and just put your factors. No, you can't. You have to do one of these methods. The first one that I showed you or this one. If the coefficient of x squared is not 1, please take note. Okay? Right. So we look for the factors of -12x squared. Some people just use numbers only. They just say the factors of -12 is still fine. Okay. But actually, we're looking at the factors of what? -12x squared. That will give us positive 4x. What are those factors? Negative means that one factor is positive and then the other factor is negative. And then this positive 4x means that the bigger factor is the one which is positive. Okay, we can try our factors. 1 and 12 can't give us what? 4, that one. What about 2 and 6? 2 and 6, you can get a 4. Right, if 6x is positive and 2x is negative, if we multiply them, positive 6x times negative 2x is negative 12x squared. And then if we add them, 6x minus 2x is what? Is 4x. So what we do, we are replacing this mixed term with these two. You see the expression hasn't changed because it becomes, oh, I think I have this. Now, multiply the first term, 3x squared, with the constant. We've done that, which is this. And then find the factors of the product that will give you the mixed term when added or subtracted. We have done that part, okay? Right, so this one was just taking us back. Now, you see that we have replaced positive 4x with these two factors, the factors of -12x squared, which is positive 6x minus 2x. You see that these things that I've underlined is just one thing. So this expression and this expression is just one thing. They are just the same because positive 6x minus 2x is what? Is 4x. You see that? Okay. And then what do? We go back, great tens. We go back to what we learned in the previous lesson, factorizing by grouping in pairs. You remember that? So we factorize the first pair and then we factorize the second pair. You remember that? So we're factorizing now by grouping in pairs. Let's look at the first pair. What is common there? It should be 3x, isn't it? We factor out 3x. And remember, we have to create a common bracket. We have to create a common bracket. And then negative 2x minus 4 will factor out. If we factor out negative 2, we'll get a common bracket here. So let's just do that. Okay, we factor out 3x in the first pair. We get 3x outside, then x plus 2 in the bracket. We factor out negative 2 with second pair, and then we get negative 2 outside, and then x plus 2 in the bracket. You see, we have two terms, this term and this term. And then these two terms have what? A common bracket, which is x plus 2. The common bracket forms our first bracket, which is x plus 2, and then just these two, this and this, will form the second bracket. I showed the shortcut. Okay, we know how we factorize it. We've been doing it. We can keep on doing the same thing. Now, you just take this, and this forms your second bracket. We have factorized. Do you see that we're getting the same answer like in the previous method? Okay. Now I'm going to give you an activity, grade 10s. I want you to try, but choose one method, the one you think you understood, isn't it? And then, or the one that you understand, and then try to answer these questions. Are you ready? Remember our WhatsApp line 079 454 9535. Now let's do the activity. Let's start with question A. And then after 2 minutes, we'll discuss question A. Then I'll give you another 2 minutes to do question B. Let's do question A for 2 minutes. Welcome back, grade 10s. Did you manage? Please communicate, grade 10s. Communicate. Let's talk to each other. 079 454 9535. If maybe you need more time, please let us know. Let us know. Please don't keep quiet there and you are suffering on your own there. Please, if you need more time, let us know. Okay. Right, let's do question A. Let's mark our work. Let's mark our work. So question A, which method do we start with? The first one, isn't it? Right, let's break 2x squared into its factors. Let me break it into 2x and see if 2x and 2x and x. Let me erase this. Write it nicely. Then 2x and x, okay? Right, 3. We break 3. Remember, we just look at the first term and the last term. We break 3 into its factors. 3 is a prime number, so it's 1 and its and 1 and itself. So it's 1 and 3. See, 1 and 3. Right. Can this combination give us a 5? If I say 1 times x, I get 1x. If I say, no, this one will not give us 5. Let me do everything so that you know that sometimes the combination does not work. Then you have to change things, okay? Right. If I say 1 times x, I get 1x. If I say 2x times 3, 2x times 3, I get what? 6x. Okay, I cannot get a positive 5 here, but I can get a positive 5 if this is negative x. But negative x won't work because if we multiply them, we must get positive 3. Okay, let me swap these things around. This one won't work. It happens. Don't panic, okay? Right, so we go to 2x and then x, and then let me say 3 and 1. You see that I just changed 1, 3 to 3 and 1, and then I multiply x times 3. This one seems to be, it's going to work. This one's going to work. Right, 2 times x is 2x. Do we agree? Then 3x plus 2x, 5x. Perfect. You see that? And then our factors, these are our factors, because we must get the middle term here. You see, this is 5x. So now these are our factors. This is our bracket. This is another bracket. Done. You see, this method is a bit faster. Okay, so we're getting the bracket 2x. Oh, please take note of the signs. Should be plus 3 here and plus 1, because it can be negative 3. It can be negative 1. You see that? So let's put the signs. So it's x plus 2x plus 3 and x plus 1, which are the factors here. Do you see that? We have factorized. That is the first method. Second method, we're going to get the same factors, but let's do it together. So second method said we multiply x squared with 3. What we get? We get 6x squared. And then we look for the factors of 6x squared that can give us 5 if we add them. It means these two factors must have the same sign. This positive 3 means that same sign. It can be negative, negative. It can be positive, positive. But this one confirms that, yes, it's same sign, but they must be positive, both of them. You see that? So, and then, so it means positive. So we can break it into 3x and 2x. You see that? And then we replace the 5x with 3x plus 2x, which is like that. You see that? And then we factorize by grouping in pairs. First pair, second pair. What's common in the first pair? X, isn't it? X is the highest common factor. We factor it out. What we get? We get x, and then outside the bracket, and then inside the bracket, we're going to get 2x plus 3. And then we go to the second one. Oh, first bracket, we have 2x plus 3. And then we have 2x plus 3 here. So what do we factor out here to get the 2x plus 3? We have to factor out 1. We have to factor out 1. Don't just leave it like that. We have to factor it 1 out. So it's positive 1. And then we have 2x plus 3. You see that? And then we've created what? A common bracket there. 2x plus 3, 2x plus 3 there. This forms our first bracket. And then this one and this one forms our second bracket. We have our factors. Remember, when you factorize, you get the factors. If you multiply them, you get the product. Remember, we talked about this in the previous lesson. The other one, factorization, being the opposite of expanding or finding the product. Okay, right. So these are the factors. The two brackets are the factors. Okay, right. I'm going to give you another 2 minutes to try the second question. Let's try for 2 minutes. Right, welcome back, cretins. Let's try this together. We'll try. We can get it for the first time, then we can even get it maybe after trying 3 times or so. Okay. Right, so the first method, we say that we're going to break this into its vectors, 6x squared and also negative 2 there. So let's break 6x squared into its vectors. We can have what? Let's say 3x and 2x. Okay. And then we have negative 2. Let's see. 2 can be 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Right, okay. And then if you cross multiply here, this one is going to be. And then what we get? We'll get 2x times 1 is 2x. Then 3x times 2 is 6x. Okay, this one won't work because 1 negative 1. So we can't get a difference of 1 with 6x and 2x. So let's leave this one. Let me try to swap these numbers around. Let me say 3x and then 2x. And then let's say 2 and 1. Right? Let's cross multiply this one. This is 3x. And then this one is 4x. Or we can get a negative 1 here. But we can only get a negative 1 if this is negative. See that? And then for this to get negative 4x, it means these two must be negative. See that? Okay. So 2x times negative 2 will get negative 4x, and then 3x times 1 we get 3x. Okay, let me confirm my factors here. I think oh yes, I'm right. Okay, right, so we say 2x times negative 2 we get negative 4x here, then 3x times 1 we get 3x, then negative 4x plus 3 is negative x. Do you see that? Okay, we're getting our middle term. So our factors is just this and this, which is x, 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 1. Do you see that? Okay, right, you see? Right, so that's the first method there. That is the first method there. And then let's go to the second method. The second method, what we do, we say 6x squared times negative 2. What is 6x squared times negative 2? We get negative 12, negative 12x squared. And then we look for the factors of negative 12x squared. That will give us negative 1. One factor must be negative, and then the other factor must be positive. Because remember, we multiply two things. The other one is negative, the other one is positive, then we get a negative answer, isn't it? So it means one factor must be positive, the other factor must be negative. Then these confirm that the bigger factor must be negative. So it can be negative 4x and then plus 3x. Negative 4x times positive 3x, that is negative 12x squared. The negative 4x plus 3x is negative x. Then we replace this with these two. Then what do we get? We get an expression like this. And then we factorize by grouping in pairs. The first pair, the first pair. First pair, second pair. And then we factorize. Can I just show you the factorization part? We've been doing this. Okay? We've been doing this. And then we factorize like this. And then we write our final answer, which is this. 3x squared, 3x minus 2 is our first bracket. Then these two forming the second bracket. That's our final answer. Okay? Let me give you 1 minute to just catch up and write your short notes. 1 minute. Right, welcome back, Cretans. I really hope that you are learning something. And if you still have questions, please send us a message or a chat 079 454 9535. Let's discuss. Okay. Right, let's move on now. So this is how we factorize trinomials. Please continue practicing the factorization of what? Quadratic trinomials. I want us to look at something else now. The difference of two squares. But I want us to observe something first. Right. I have here x minus y times x plus y. Are these two brackets the same? They are almost the same. What is the difference between these two brackets? You know that the other one has minus, the other one has plus. You see that? That's the difference. Otherwise, the terms inside the bracket, they're almost the same. They're almost the same. They're not the same. They're almost the same. Remember that, okay? So if x minus y, x plus y. Okay? Right. I want us to expand this so that we can observe something. I want us to expand this so that we observe something. Let's use our FOIL method. X times x is x squared. X times y is xy. Negative y times x is negative xy. Negative y times positive y is negative y squared. So if we expand, we get something like this, isn't it? Okay? Right. And then what is positive xy minus xy? Positive xy minus xy. That is 0. We remain with x squared minus y squared. This is a square. This is a square. When you're subtracting, you're finding the difference. Understand that? These two terms, this is a square, this is a square. When you're subtracting, what do we call the answer? We call it a difference. So this is the difference of two squares. You see that? The difference of two squares. So when given the difference of two squares, you should be able to factorize that. And then we are moving from the difference of two squares to the factors. That's how we factorize difference of two squares. We're moving from the difference of two squares to the factors. Remember, these two brackets are the factors. Okay? Right. And then another example. X minus 3, x plus 3. You see that? When we expand this using the FOIL method, we're going to get that it is x squared minus 9. X squared minus 9. And then if you check, x squared is a square. 9 is a square number. You see that? 9 is a square number. 9 is 3 squared. It's a square number. So we can factorize this using the what? The difference of two squares. So we say this is x squared minus 9. What is the square root of x squared? It is x. What is the square root of 9? It is 3. You see that? And then we say x minus 3, x plus 3. We are putting the square roots of these things. And then we have our two brackets like that. The other one with a minus, the other one with a plus. You think you can try an example? Okay, let's do an example together. Then after the example, I give you what? I give you the activity, isn't it? Okay, let's do an example together. Right, if you check here, oh, this is the same thing like what we did. So what we do, what is the square root of x squared? This is equal to x. The square root of 9, that's equal to 3. So we're going to form two brackets with these square roots. You just write your two brackets. And then we're having our square roots. x3, x3. And then what we do after that? The other one is minus, the other one is plus. This is the easiest factorization that you can have. Done. We have factorized. We have factorized this. Okay? Very easy. Now, so we say this is x squared minus 3 squared to show you that 9 is a square number. Then we just factorize like that. Done. I want you to try the first one. Question 1. Let's try question 1. Okay, don't be intimidated by this. Let me just give you a clue. If you know it, just continue. Don't even listen to me if you think you can do it on your own. 1, people tend to forget. 1 is a square number. So square numbers, we start with 1, 4, 9. Because 1 squared is 1. So 1 is a square number. Don't forget that. And then what's the square root of 9x squared? It will be 3x. So the square root of 9x squared is 3x. The square root of 1 is 1. Okay? Let's try A for 2 minutes. Right, welcome back, Cretans. Right, we're supposed to factorize this expression. Now, in the test, in the exam, you're asked to factorize an expression. What are you going to think of? Which methods have we discussed so far? Think of the highest common factor. Do we have the highest common factor? Okay. Think of the quadratic trinomials. Do we have the quadratic trinomial? Think about factorizing by grouping in pairs. Okay. And then now we have introduced the difference of two squares. Think about the difference of two squares. Okay. Right. We're going to talk about the other one for factorization. Remember, difference in sum of two cubes, but we're not going to do that now. Now, up to now is up to the difference of two squares. All these methods that we've discussed is factorization. Now, let's look at these two terms here. 9x squared and 1. We are separating these two terms. Is this a difference of two squares? Is this a difference of two squares? Yes, it is a difference of two squares because 9x squared is a square. 1 is a square, okay? And then 1 is a square number. So this is a difference of two squares. And then how do we factorize difference of two squares? We find the square roots, and then the square roots, they are in our brackets, the two brackets, and then our one bracket is going to have a plus, the other bracket is going to have a minus. As simple as that. So now let's find the square root of these ones. The square root of 9x squared is 3x. The square root of 1 is 1. So we're going to have our two brackets with 3x minus 1 and then 3x plus 1. You see that? Okay. Right. So we have factorized fully. Done. Let's mark our work. Let's mark our work just for 20 seconds. I'll wait for you. 20 seconds, then we move on to B. Right, let's do B. B. What's the difference between this? Oh, it's just the same thing. Just the same thing. Right, B. Right, I want you to try B. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Let's try B for 2 minutes. Welcome back, grade 10. Did you manage? But 2x squared is not a square number. 2 is not a square number. 8 is not a square number. So how do we deal with such a thing? But if you check grade 10s, you see that there is what? A highest common factor there. These two terms, 2x squared and 8, have what? A common factor. And then the highest common factor there is 2. Don't forget that. The first thing you do when you're doing factorization is to check if there is a highest common factor or not. Okay, so we factor out 2. If you factor out 2, what do we get? We get x squared minus 4 inside the bracket. Now, and then inside the bracket, if you check, we have difference of 2 squares. Okay, right. Let's say you had missed that. I want you to try to continue from here for 1 minute. Just 1 minute, continue from here. Right, welcome back, grade 10s. Did you manage? I hope so. I gave you a clue, isn't it? So now we have x squared and 4 in our bracket. Those are 2 squares. We can use difference of 2 squares there. Okay, we have x minus 2, x plus 2. We have factorized fully. Right, let's do the last one. We still have time. Let me see if I can give you 2 minutes just to try. And then after 2 minutes, we what? I will explain everything. Then we summarize our lesson. Okay. Right. Now, I want you to try this one for 2 minutes. And then after 2 minutes, I'll just come back. we mark our work, and then we get our homework and we summarize our lesson. Remember our WhatsApp line 079 454 9535. Let's do this in 2 minutes. Right, welcome back, greetings to manage. Let's mark our work. So now this whole bracket, you treat it just like x squared. Okay, it is a square number, so it's a squared. Okay, it's not a number, so it's a squared. Right, so the whole bracket treat like x squared. So we're going to have what? 2x plus y, which is this, then minus y, and then 2x plus y, which is this, plus y. You see that? Like we have x minus y, x plus y. Okay, please check. Understand? If you understand, please. Sorry, if you don't understand, please send us your question 079 454 9535. And then now we can simplify what is inside this square bracket. Then positive y minus y is 0. So we remain with this. This whole bracket becomes 2x. So that's why I have 2x and then 2x plus 2y, because positive y plus y there is 2y. If we factorize fully, no, we still have a common factor here in the bracket. So we have to factor it out. So we factor it out, then it joins the 2x, becomes 2x times 2, which is 4x. And then we have 4x outside the bracket, and then in the bracket we have x plus y. If you have factorized fully, then you mustn't have terms with a common factor in the bracket. You mustn't have terms with a common factor in the bracket. Then it means that we have factorized fully. Right. So this is what we're supposed to do. Great. Tense. I want us to, we've done discussions. We usually discuss during the lesson, but if there are any questions, please do send the questions. We're going to assist you. And then I want us to have time, just 2 minutes to copy the homework, and then after 2 minutes, we're going to summarize our lesson. Welcome back, grade 10s. Please do the homework and then you can discuss with your colleagues. You can even submit your homework for checking and make sure that you understand how we factorize those three. Right, so what did we learn when you factorize a trinomial? E.g., this trinomial, we say that we multiply the first term, which is 3x squared, with the constant, and then we get the answer, and then find the factors of the product that will give you the middle term when added or subtracted. That is the second method. Remember that? Okay. And then we also learned about the difference of two squares. We say that x squared minus y squared is factorized to give us x minus y times x plus y. Okay, thank you very much, grade 10s. We are going to meet in our next lesson. Please don't miss the next lesson. Goodbye.